Welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
I'm Stacey Earlywine, and I don't know what the weather's doing right now, but it's warm outside.
I know it's been a really kind of odd November weather-wise for us because we've had a lot of warmer days, and it's normally like we've even had snow before at this time of year.
Oh, yeah.
So but that being said, the cold weather is on its way. Have you seen the weather forecast?
I was wondering about that because I keep thinking, I got my flip-flops on again today.
Well, you're not going to this weekend because it's going to be like 12 and 13 degrees this weekend.
Good. Mm-hmm. I'm glad because these germs have got to go.
Yeah, kill the germs. Kill the germs. I'm not sure that always works, but
I don't either. But I like it. Makes me feel good in my head.
Yeah. Okay. And I think there is something to it, but yeah, I think it's going to get really cold, and I think that there is a chance of snow on like Thursday or Friday, but probably not for us. But Effingham area, I think you were. We're kind of on the line. I personally like snow, so I was hoping it would come a little further south, but I think snow. Effingham's a maybe. I don't think Clay County was in on that.
Isn't it so weird though? How because I bet the temperature outside's what today? It's got to be in the
50s.
50s,
I'd say.
And we're going to go right from 50 to
sunny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we're in the middle of the children's play, smack dab in the middle of the kids'
That's
play.
right, which we're talking about the children's play at Nostalgia Theater, which Stacey and I are both involved with, and we put on a Christmas play each year that the kids star in, and it is always adorable and always fun, and we have a great cast, and this year's play will be December 7th. And 8th.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
The 7th is a Saturday. That show's at 7 p.m. And the show on the 8th is a Sunday afternoon, and that show is at 3 p.m.
Yes.
So if you're looking for some fun entertainment with a little Christmassy
theme,
yeah, then that will be a very good show. I'm excited about it. It has music in it. It's not a musical, but it's a play. But some of the kids sing a few songs. And,
I like to add music too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
It's so funny though because it's like there's been times. When we had practice last night, and sometimes after taking on the theater project, which was a lot of work for Jim, and taking it on, there's only been like a couple times. It's been like 4 years now, and there's been a couple times that I walked in there and was like, "What did I do?" Mm-hmm. And then last night when those kids were up there, and we got a whole new group. Mm-hmm. There's new kids to us. This year, because this is our 5th year doing this, and. Last night I was watching those kids, Clay County kids, not just Florida. They're all over the county, homeschool kids, full armor kids, and I'm watching them, and and we got kindergarten kids to high school. Mm-hmm. And Beth, last night my light bulb went on. It was like, this is why I did what I did.
This is why we do it.
This is why we do it.
These kids love it so much. This is their thing, and in Clay County, for a lot of kids, and in the past years, there's not a lot of opportunity unless you're playing sports. If you're not a sports kid, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for you to do other extracurricular activities. There is a group for this, and this is the highlight of their year. I mean, they are so excited to be doing this.
And watching them last night, I just can't even get over how they just support each other, and they clap for each other. I'm hearing the smile. They're laughing. They're smiling. They're having a good time.
The older kids help the younger kids without being asked or without being told, "Hey, give her a hand," or help her with her lines, or him or whoever. And it just naturally they are.
Yeah.
They're good friends with each other. Like they have each other's back.
It's lifelong friends, and like I said, we lost that group of 9 last year, and so we got a whole. It's a young cast.
It's a younger cast.
It's a younger cast, so
it's a good group.
A little bit younger play, so we're grooming the next generation. And we have Jasper's from Sisney area, and but last night I was just like, and then watching Cohen up there, how they were with Cohen, and and it's just.
Yep.
And the little elves were very excited last night. This is the first year that we've ever done kindergarten.
Right. Yeah. And they have a small part compared to the other kids, but it's going to be so cute.
They're the cute factor.
Yeah. They're cute.
They're the cute factor.
They're going to be little elves.
Singing. They're going to be little elves. So if they wander off the stage, they wander off the stage. If they do whatever the elves do, the elves do.
And I've said this before when I've talked about our children's performances, but I'm going to say it again because it's so true. There's a difference between directing a play full of children who want to do this and this is their thing versus directing a church Christmas play, which I've done before at our church, full of kids whose parents are forcing them to do it. There's a big difference. And these are the kids in our play that want to do it, that enjoy doing it, that are, trying very hard to do a great job. And it just makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
The performance is going to be great.
Oh, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. But last night, man, they're doing so good. And last night I don't know. It's just great. Mm-hmm. It was good.
Yep.
I got to tell you a funny story, though. So last night, one of the kids, there's backstage doors. I got to tell you, Teresa Edgington sent me a thing. And one of the kids came out and said, Stacey, somebody's knocking on the back door. Okay. I'm like, well, I said those, so of course I'm going to go out and see. Uh-huh. It was on the west door that they were knocking on, but the east door is the only one that's open. I'm thinking Jim probably had it locked anyway, so nobody could have got in. So I go back there and I'm thinking, who's messing with my theater, man? Uh-huh. Of course, there's a big red iron thing that's got a thing on the bottom that Jim puts on a drill and it mixes mortar.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out what that was. She was carrying it around like a weapon.
I grabbed a weapon.
It's like 3 feet long. Like you just sword fight this guy in the alley.
I was going to take care of business. I grabbed the weapon. I had that thing in my hand. I'm like, excuse me. And this guy's like, oh, I heard noises and thought there was a party. No party. It's a children's theater. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, I just thought I'd join. I said, it's not a party, children's theater. So then we came back in. Of course, I had my weapon. The kids were so funny. But Teresa Edgington, Duke, her little boy Duke's in it. She sent me a message and said, Duke said that somebody tried to kidnap them all.
Oh, no.
I said, no. He said, Duke said that somebody tried to get in the theater and kidnap the children, but you took care of it because you had a weapon.
That is an exaggeration.
That is an exaggeration. I said, well, I did have a weapon. Uh-huh. It was a big piece of metal, and nobody tried to kidnap the children. Somebody knocked the door. Yeah. So Jim was like, yeah, so we no matter, the children are very good.
They're very good, but that was a good opportunity for us to say, look, if you ever hear a knock at the back door, do not open it, and under no circumstances do you open the back door and go into the alley.
Never open the back door, and you never go out the alley, ever. But no. I mean, about a little Duke Edgington, who is, oh my gosh,
he's hilarious.
He is funny. Isn't he a funny little kid?
Yes. So
he cracks me up so much.
Anyway, come to our play. It's going to be super fun. December 7th and 8th. Okay. We got an ad for today?
We do.
Okay, what you got?
Well, I found a radiator ad.
Oh, gosh.
But it's cold outside. It's winter. You need to put some clothes on that, baby. Oh. Bar out window. American Radiator and Ideal Boilers. No drafts with steam or water heating. American Radiator Company. Have you ever seen an ad like that?
No, but I've seen radiators lots of times in homes. I know the large home has beautiful radiators in it that Craig has restored, and that's how they're heating their home.
Well, that's Chris Roopsom's lives in her grandmother's house here in Louisville, and she still has radiator heat. How do those even work?
Well, North Clay High School, I doubt they still have it, but when I was there, they did.
Yeah.
And it was very loud and noisy, but it worked well. I mean, the rooms...
But it's like no drafts with steam or water heating.
I think that there's water that goes through there.
Really?
And you could hear it sometimes.
So in an old home like Chris lives in and the Larches lives in, is that they don't have central heat and air? Or
no, they don't. They don't have central heat. It's radiator heat.
Wow, and it does a good job, huh?
Yeah. When we were at the Larch home for Thanksgiving, Craig was telling Jason how great it's working. And it's beautiful. I mean, I think that is a really neat look, to have in your home.
Cool
very cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's neat though. But I'd never come across an ad that was about radiator heat.
We should do a show on researching how how they did their heat and their plumbing and everything back in the day on those old homes. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. So what do they do? Then they just have window air conditioners?
At the Larches?
Yeah.
They do now, but I think it's temporary because I think they're planning on getting central air.
So you can get central air and leave your heat where it is.
I think. I'll ask him. I'm going to research that. We're going to do a show on it.
But that baby's got rosy cheeks, and the baby just got a bath, and it's winter outside.
Yeah.
And the rattle's in the windowsill.
The snow is deep.
And snow is deep, and the baby's naked. But
it's
in front of the radiator heat.
Yeah, I think she just gave it a bath right in front of the radiator.
I think she did.
Yeah.
Another one of those little pots. Once again, I love these 1900 ads.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Yep. I like that too.
Yeah, such a neat ad. Little baby.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep, that was a good one.
Another good ad.
Okay.
Another good ad. You just never know what you're going to Google and find.
You do not know what you're going to come up with.
Nope.
For sure.
You don't.
So, anyway, okay. Well, I have an interesting show planned for today.
You do?
I do. It's about murder.
Murders? I love murder shows. Is that terrible?
Well, no. Yes and no.
Kind
of,
maybe.
Sound terrible, but honestly, they're fascinating.
But they're fascinating. We like to talk about it.
And it's history, and this is, there's a lot of people that are really into true crime.
Right.
Things that happen more recent. This is true crime. It's just all the way back from 1867.
1867 is where we're going.
We're going way back.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm dying to hear about this story.
I'll tell you.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're going to talk about a murder. Murder of the Newland family, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, so the Newland family. This has a connection to Clay County, Richland County area. Although it didn't happen here, there is a connection. So I'm going to go back to the year of 1867, and we're in May, the month of May. Okay, and there was a gentleman, he was 28 years old, and his name was William Newland. Okay, so in some articles that I found about him online, his name is spelled Newlin, and in other articles, it is spelled Newland. Okay, and then I read a whole other article about the Newland family over time, and that spelling is in both everywhere. So if you have any Newlands in your own ancestry, you probably already know it could be spelled either way. And there was even one article where they spelled his name Newton.
Oh, really?
Newton. So it's just back then people didn't spell well and they didn't care. Okay, so he was married, William and his wife, and they had an 18-month-old son. Okay, they lived in Washington County, Indiana, which is just right over the line from Illinois. I think that is right over there near Vincennes.
Yeah, where the gas stop is at. Mm-hmm. The German.
Mm-hmm. But they wanted to move. They wanted to settle somewhere else. And so they were thinking Missouri or somewhere in the Southwest. Okay? So they started on their journey, and they made it into Illinois, and they were in the Clay County, Richland County area. Okay? This is where they met another family, the family of Charles Waller. He was 42 years old, so he's a little bit older than William. And Charles was also married. He had a wife that was 34 years old. Her name was Hannah. And then he had an 18-year-old son named Zachariah. And then he had 4 other younger children. Okay, so Newland came from a well-to-do family over in Washington County. His dad was a farmer and well off, and so whenever William and his little young family, his wife and his little baby, took off to move, they had $1,000 with them, which was a whole lot of money back then. Okay, a lot of money. And he planned to buy land with it and, have money to get started wherever it was they decided to stay. So he's staying in presumably Clay County. It might have been closer to Richland County. And kind of just slowly working their way over towards Missouri. And he met this Waller guy, and he decided Waller helped him with some work he had to do. I don't know if they were chopping wood or what they were doing, but he kind of got to know this Waller guy, and he asked him, hey, would you guys want to go with us? You've talked about moving west, you've talked about moving to the Southwest too in our conversation. You guys are welcome to follow us, go along with us if you want. And, back then people did travel in groups. It was not highly unusual. And he even told Waller, hey, when we get there, I'll hire you. Like, I'm going to have a farm. You can work for me. You can have a job. That was a big deal because people were hesitant to move unless they were sure they would find employment,
Right.
And this guy, he's like, hey, when we get there, I'll hire you. I'll even give you a team and a wagon if you want to make the trip. I mean, because apparently Waller's didn't have any money. Newland did, and he met this guy, thought he was a great guy, and said, you can go with us. I'll get you a team and a wagon, and you can follow. When we get there, you can work for me. Sounds like a great plan, right?
Right.
Well, this was in May that this all happened. By the fall of 1867, both families had reached Dade County, Missouri. Okay. There, they went and visited with a man named Samuel Harshbarger. And Samuel Harshbarger.
Harshbarger,
that's kind of a fun one to say. He was a relative by marriage of William Newland. Okay. So William had a family member over there. They visited with him, and then a short while later, they set off again. This time, they headed southeast towards Ozark County, Missouri, okay? In about November the 1st, they camped in Webster County, which is a few miles east of Marshfield. I'm not sure where Marshfield is. We could always pull up a map of Missouri again for this episode, Ty, and we'll just kind of see where Marshfield is. This is where some stuff is about to happen. Okay, so they're in Marshfield, Missouri, these two families. They've made it quite a distance. This is where William Newland, and Zach Waller went hunting together, okay? Zach is the 18-year-old son of Charles.
Okay.
So his oldest son, who's 18, but see, William was only 28. So, they were only 10 years apart. Mm-hmm. The son. You said Marshfield. Mm-hmm. It's in Webster County. Ty's going to try to show us on the
County
map.
Sounds familiar, but I've never
where
heard
this
of that.
is. Okay, so then they went hunting. Then Zach Waller came back to his family's wagon alone and told his father, well, it's done.
What?
Well, it's done. Okay. When Waller asked for clarification, Zach told him that he had killed Newland.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, there's another story that says that the father was the one that killed Newland, but the well, it's done statement definitely suggests they were both in on the conspiracy. So then Charles Waller, he's the dad, he determined that in order to cover up the crime, they also had to get rid of Newland's wife and baby. Just, evil's been around since the beginning of time. So, this isn't this.
Oh my gosh.
So he or his son, not sure which, slit Mrs. Newland's throat and also presumably killed the child. However.
Now that was rude.
Yeah. So the child's name, a little 18-month-old boy, his name was Samuel Lincoln Newland, and they never found his body. He was never found. Was he murdered? We don't really know for sure. They could have sold him. They could have gave him to the next family that came along. They could have left him on a doorstep somewhere.
Yeah.
Child grew up. Never.
So nobody knows what happened to the baby.
Nope. Mm-mm. So William Newland's body was found not long after he was killed, and it was about 6 to 8 miles from Marshfield. Did we find Marshfield? Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the map and see where all this went down. That little the red dot. Okay, so they're not very far away from Springfield, Missouri. And if we were to zoom in on that a little bit, I would bet that we're not very far away from Mansfield. I'm pretty sure I've seen the Marshfield area when I went to Mansfield, which was the home of Laura Ingalls Wilder, where she and Almanzo lived. See, I can always pull that into any episode.
Gosh.
That is where she wrote the books, was in Mansfield, Missouri. And she didn't start writing those until like the 1930s. So she probably did not live there at the same time that this happened. Although she was born in this was right before she was born, I think. Okay. So,
and that's something.
Did we see Marshfield when we zoomed in?
Yeah, it's right here.
Okay.
I can't see anything because my eyes are bad.
Okay. So
there it is.
Yeah, there's Marshfield. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely right there, not very far from Springfield, Illinois. So if you're into history and you're on a road trip, you'll know where this happened.
I wonder if it's very public.
I don't know.
Gosh.
Okay. So
darn it.
No kidding. But I'm just going on. So you tell me when I need to stop for a commercial.
Okay. I'm watching the time.
So his body was found not very long after he was killed, and it was only 6 to 8 miles from Marshfield. And the law enforcement, the police, the citizens around there, no one was particularly like what happened at first. They just probably thought not too much about it. I mean, people died back then. But weeks and months went by, and his relatives, his well-to-do relatives back in Indiana, you know, his dad's a very successful farmer.
Yeah.
They're starting to get a little bit nervous.
Heard anything.
Yeah, which, you know, there wasn't phones or anything back then, but you did get letters.
Right.
Okay, so they hadn't heard anything. They hadn't heard from them at all. So Newland's father contacted Harshbarger, the relative out there that they had stopped to see, and said, "Hey, what's going on? Like, figure out where he went. I haven't heard from him. Have you?" And, you know, Harshbarger's probably like, "Well, he stopped by. That was a few weeks ago. I haven't heard from him either." And so Harshbarger started asking around, and then that's when he learned of the discovery of Newland's body. Oh. And right around that same time that Harshbarger kind of started poking around and asking the police if they'd seen this guy, Mrs. Newland's body was also found right along the Hartville Road, which is the present-day Highway 38. Anyway, that was in the spring of 1868. So she was found a few miles away from where her husband had been found.
So it makes you wonder, like, whenever what was going through her mind whenever her husband doesn't come back. She's with these strange men.
I think not much. I think she probably didn't even realize that he had. I think not much time had went by after they killed him, and she thought he was still out hunting, and then they came for her.
Yeah.
And they cut her head off.
Yeah.
She was found without a head.
She was decapitated?
Yeah.
Man, these guys are terrible.
Said they slit her throat, but another report also says her head was completely detached. These were nice people. They sound very nice. Like, they were willing to invite this poor family to go along with them, gave them horses, gave them a wagon, promised them employment when they got there. And this is what they did because they had money. They were killed for their money, okay?
They came across pure evil that day.
Yep. So Mrs. Newland was not killed where her body was found. More likely, she was killed near the same spot as her husband, and her body was then hauled away a few miles and dumped because it seems unlikely she would have willingly continued the journey with the Wallers after her husband went missing. Right. Yeah, they had to keep her quiet. So when the police found Mrs. Newland's body, that is really when the alarm went up, because now it suddenly was like, oh, this is definitely a murder, like her head's been cut off. And both the husband and the wife are dead. Like, what is happening here? Because, you know, when you just find a hunter dead in the woods, they probably shot him. Yeah. You're kind of like, well, it could have been an accident. No one knew they even shot. I don't know. Okay, so already suspected of having killed William Newland, the Wallers now became the object of a manhunt.
I can imagine.
Okay. And who was funding the manhunt? William's father, the rich farmer from Indiana. That he was like, I'm putting money behind this. We're tracking these people down, and they will be held responsible for my son's death.
And because they don't even know where their grandchild's at.
Nope, they don't. So the Wallers were tracked to Ozark County, where Zach Waller, in this past year or whatever, the 18-year-old, had gotten married. Okay? So they tracked him there, but the family had already taken off by the time the police got there. So then Waller was said to be in Arkansas, while Zach was said to be in Texas. So a deputy was dispatched to Texas to bring Zach back. So they sent this guy down to Texas and said, go find him, bring him back.
Okay. Commercial break.
Okay.
We're going to come back in a minute.
To be continued.
Jeez.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. We're talking about the murder of the Newland family, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Charles Waller family, who was bad news. Very bad news. Okay, so we're in the middle of this story about how this murder happened, and one of my notes that I'd kind of breezed over, I talked about that they decapitated his wife. I had forgotten they also decapitated William Newland.
Did they?
So when the police found that first body, they should have realized that was a murder.
Something was wrong.
But they didn't just get too upset just yet. They were, I don't know. Then when they found the wife a few days later or however longer, then they started to really investigate. Okay. So Wallers were tracked to Ozark County. They went to Ozark County. They had the team, the wagon, the $1,000, all of the things that belonged to the Newlands. They had with them. Okay, so the Harshbarger, the one that started the investigation, trying to get the police to figure out where this family member of his went, was realizing that, hey, this Waller guy has a lot of money. Like, he's spending a lot of money, and he didn't have any before. So that was one thing that they were like, things are not adding up with this Waller family.
They had $1,000 on them? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Zach Waller had gotten married, but when they got to Ozark County, the Wallers had already left. Charles was said to be in Arkansas. Zach was thought to be in Texas. They sent the deputy to Texas to bring Zach back. And when he got back to Missouri, he reported that he had captured Zach, but he had been forced to shoot and kill him when he tried to escape. So he didn't come back with a body. Mm-hmm. He said, I went down to Texas. I got him. He's dead, though. I mean, like, he fought me. He tried to escape. I shot him. He's dead. We buried him in Texas. Mm-hmm. There's a reward for Zach Waller. Yeah. $1,000 reward. Yeah. $500 from Richard Newland, the dad, the grandpa of the baby, the farmer from Indiana, and then $500 from the government, Webster County. So this deputy was like, yeah, go ahead. I'll take the $1,000. I got him down there in Texas. He's just dead. I buried him. Wrong. Authorities began to suspect that this deputy had lied and that Zach Waller was still alive. Okay, so no good deputy, just trying to make $1,000.
Did they give him the money?
I don't know.
Surely not.
I think if they did, they took it back because they figured out he was still alive. So meanwhile, Samuel Harshbarger, the relative, was hot on the trail of Zach's parents, Charles and Hannah Waller. Okay, he tracked them to Rock County, Wisconsin, not Arkansas, Wisconsin. They were headed all over. And then to Beaver Creek in the same state of Wisconsin. From there, he traced them to Faribault, Minnesota, where in August of 1870, he finally caught up with them. 1870, and this all happened in 67. Okay, so a few years later, he catches up to them, and these ding-dongs still have possession of Newland's belongings. They got Newland stuff. They've never watched any true crime.
Criminals.
They're dumb.
They're dumb criminals.
So Harshbarger captured them and brought them back to Marshfield, Missouri, where they were lodged in the Webster County Jail. Charles, the dad, was indicted for first-degree murder in 1871, and his wife Hannah was also indicted as an accessory to murder.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Waller was tried at the March 1872 court, and on Friday, March 29th, the jury declared him guilty. And the next day, he was brought into court, and the judge pronounced a sentence of death by hanging. Serves him right. Honestly, I think hanging is awful, but I think if our government hung people publicly, that there would be less
I think there'd be less crime.
Okay. So the execution date was set for May the 17th. Cursing the verdict and those who had testified against him, especially Samuel Harshbarger, Waller said he had been convicted by a pack of lies, but that he was ready to die. Hannah, meanwhile, pled guilty to manslaughter and was given a 3-year sentence in the state penitentiary. So she kind of played along with the game.
Did.
She's like, fine, I will plead guilty to manslaughter and just let me serve my time and move on with my life.
Did she really have a choice? I mean,
she probably didn't have a choice. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she couldn't have stopped it even if she'd wanted to. No. Where could she have went? She couldn't have left her husband. That wasn't going to happen. She had no money, no resources. She was stuck.
She was stuck.
She was in a bad spot. Okay. She was put in a cell in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is the state capital of Missouri, correct? She wrote to Governor Gratz Brown on May the 9th, proclaiming her husband's innocence and pleading for mercy in his case as well as her own. He probably told her to do that.
Oh, I'm sure.
You have to write. Her husband's a jerk. You need to try to get me out of this. Use your feminine, pleading, crying, whatever you can do to get them to give me mercy. This was 3 weeks after she had given birth while in prison to a new baby, and she asked to be released so that she could raise her child. She enclosed a letter that her husband had written to her just days earlier in which he talked of meeting her in heaven and told her to follow the Lord's path. Okay. I can hope that in this moment before he was put to death, that maybe he did come to Jesus and maybe he got there. I mean, that's what we can all hope for. But who knows? At least 3 other people wrote letters to this Governor Brown, also pleading for leniency. So he had made a few friends. He had people that were writing on his behalf to say, free this man.
That's surprising.
I know, because he killed an entire family for money and decapitated them.
Is the baby never mentioned again?
Well, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So one of them, Waller's court-appointed lawyer, he did not claim that Charles Waller was innocent of the crime. He wrote a letter, but he didn't say he was innocent. He instead based his appeal wholly on the opposition to capital punishment. So he didn't say he didn't do it. He's innocent. He just said, "Don't hang him. Don't hang him." Governor Brown, this is my kind of guy, he was, however, unmoved by any of the letters. And he said that he did not feel he should countermand a lawful verdict. It was a lawful verdict, and he doesn't feel like he should just throw it out the window. Waller had been receiving spiritual counsel since his conviction, good, and perhaps even before the verdict, mainly from a guy named Reverend McCord Roberts. He was a well-known Baptist minister in the Missouri area. However, he continuously, steadfastly denied having committed the crime for which he was going to pay the ultimate price. So maybe he didn't actually do it, because it quite possibly could have been Zach.
It could have been Zach.
Okay, so Zach has been said that he was dead, but they don't believe that he's dead. So we're going to come back to Zach. But in the meantime, let's just keep talking about the dad here. Just a day or two before the scheduled execution date, the newspaper reports claimed that he finally admitted that he had done it. He was executed on Friday, May 17th. He refused breakfast that day, saying he felt nauseous, and he reportedly wailed in agony. By early afternoon, however, when he was finally taken to the scaffold, which had been erected just east of Marshfield on what is known as Bald Hill, he had regained his composure and reportedly walked up the stairs to meet his fate with a firm step in front of a spellbound crowd who were eager to witness the high drama. Why is anyone eager to see that?
I don't know. It's weird.
People did. We talked about that when we talked about Charlie Berger.
Yeah.
Okay, so legal hangings during the 1800s were often public spectacles. People picnicked. They had a carnival-like atmosphere. Waller's execution was absolutely no different. The crowd was there. They were excited. It had a very fun
like
vibe.
Betsy Reed. Yep.
Yeah.
Betsy Reed over in Lawrenceville.
Yes,
yep.
yeah. People began pouring into Marshfield on Thursday, the day before the event. The crowd grew to a reported 5,000 to 7,000 people.
Can you imagine? Mommy, what are we doing today? Oh, honey, we're going to go watch a public hanging. Yay!
Yeah.
Can we have a picnic?
So weird to me to let your kids see that.
It is so weird.
The convict, Mr. Waller, he declined to make a statement. They gave him the opportunity. He said no. Reverend Roberts was there. He said a prayer. Waller's face was covered with a mask. The noose was put around his neck. The sheriff pulled the lever and dropped him into eternity. Him into eternity. And this is a lovely. Some of this was from Rita Lentz Thomas.
Funny.
I got a lot of the information from Rita Lentz Thomas, but then there's also a blog that is online that I get a lot of my information from, and it is let's see, the ozarkshistory.blogspot.com. So shout out to that author.
I
can't think of his
eternity.
name. And I'm not sure I have that on my.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, I thank that blogger for some of this information. Yes. So, yeah. Let's see where we're at. He didn't make a statement, so he dropped into eternity, where his neck was reportedly broken by the fall, and he died within 2 to 3 minutes, but was allowed to hang for another 10 minutes or so before his body was taken down and buried in a grave that had already been prepared very near the execution site. The crowd gradually began to break up. Okay, so back to Zach, the 18-year-old son, who by this time is in his early 20s.
I think he's the killer. He's the one that did it. But he did it I bet he did it. His dad told him to do it.
I think his dad was.
They're all evil.
The dad told. This is what I think.
Yeah.
I think the dad told him to do it. The mom didn't have anything to do with it, but she was in because she was there, stuck in the bad between rock and a hard place. Zach was willing to do it. Zach went and did it. The dad. He denied having done it. His name's Charles, up until a day or two. And then I think right before, when he finally admitted that he did it, a day or two before, I think he only admitted it because he knew Zach was still alive, and he didn't want Zach to later be hung for it. Yeah. So he said, oh, yeah, actually, it was me.
Yeah.
I'm going to die anyway. I'll take the blame. Yeah. That way Zach doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Zach Waller continued to be on the run. But Harshbarger was a stubborn detective, and he wasn't giving up. He ran down a number of leads over the years and finally located Zach, the fugitive Zach, holed up in Minnesota, where he found him. He brought him back to Webster County, and Zach was indicted in March of 1877. So his dad, Charles, had died. What year did I say that was? 1871. So a lot of years have went by until that's why, they weren't going to give up on Zach. They find him. He's brought back to Missouri in 1877. In September of that same year, he pleaded guilty to murder in the second degree. That was an option that he was given, so they kind of gave him a little bit of a plea deal, and he hoped that they gave him the plea. The reason that they gave him a plea deal, like, you can plead guilty to second degree murder, because I don't think you can be hung for second degree murder at this time, because they wanted him to tell him where the baby was. That was the plea deal. We'll give you a lesser sentence, but in return, you tell us what happened to that baby. Okay. So he was, instead of being sentenced to death, he was sentenced to 40 years in prison. But guess what? He never told them anything about the baby.
He didn't?
Nope. He never revealed the fate of the baby or the whereabouts of the baby. He never said a word about what happened to that baby.
So why didn't they just go
Samuel
ahead and hang him
Lincoln
then?
Newland. I guess because,
he got out of...
He'd been tried in court for second degree murder, so they had to stick with that. I mean, legally they couldn't just backtrack on that.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break.
Okay.
And we'll finish the story when we get back.
Okay, we'll be back.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
Jimmy ordered lumber, doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, Jimmy ordered guns too.
John Lucas,
What?
you better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. Zink Building Center in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I've been talking about the Newland family murder by Charles Waller and Zach Waller. We're kind of at the end of the story, and I did mention that they eventually found Zach holed up in Minnesota. There's another report. I have two different articles. One says Florida, one says Minnesota. So just throw that out there. I'm not sure where he was, but he was definitely out of state. And that's when they brought him back, and he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. That it was 10 years had passed since the actual murder, whenever he came back. So that would have meant that, he's probably closer to 28, 29, somewhere around there. That he never revealed anything about little Samuel Lincoln Newland. But he was sentenced to 40 years. But what happens when most people are given long sentences? They don't actually serve that long, right?
Right.
They get parole.
Oh, no.
So Zach Waller was paroled in later 1880s after only serving about 10 years of his sentence.
What? And he never did say where the kid was at.
Nope, but they let him go after 10 years. So then if you check, the records or where is he at later on in life. We find in 1910 he was living in Stoddard County, Missouri. He was 63 years old by that time, and he had a 30-year-old wife and 6 kids. His oldest was 17 at the time, and his next oldest was 9, suggesting that his 5 younger kids were from his current wife. The older child was probably from the wife that he had had previously. So that leaves descendants. There are actually a lot of descendants out there of this Zach Waller or Zachariah Waller. The 1910 census, he was in Stoddard County, Missouri. But if you are a Waller or related to the Wallers, you have a sister that's a Waller.
My sister's married to Bill Waller.
Makes me wonder. So one of Zachariah's kids was named Roy. I guess there's a lot of people that have been like, I can trace myself back to Roy Waller and then to Zachariah Waller. I would love to know Bill Waller's.
I'm going to have to talk to Linda today.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. He had several kids. It looks like maybe he might have even been fathering kids when he was up in his 60s, 61, still fathering children.
He was a scoundrel.
He was a scoundrel. Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah, when Roy was born, Zach would have been 61 years old when he had that baby named Roy. So that's just a little tidbit about, the Waller line. And a lot of this is online. You can look them up on Ancestry.com. If you just Google the Newland family murders, this will come up. And again, the connection to Clay County is Clay County is where they met the Wallers.
They met the Wallers,
and it's not exactly clear if it was Clay County. It might have been a little closer to Richland County. It was right in this area that they met the Wallers. So the Charles Waller family was here. Can you imagine just being on a trip and just meeting this nice family, and they were a little down on their luck, and it's like, hey, thanks for helping us. You guys want to come with us?
I'm almost thinking that Bill's name is William Charles Waller. I'm almost thinking.
Well, there's probably a lot of Wallers out there.
There are probably a lot of Wallers out there, but
I don't know Bill's mother, but I'm betting if she named him that, she did not know the story of this Charles Waller from 1860. Or did she?
I don't know.
Bill, if you're watching this show, man, you need to research
your
why your mom named you that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that's his name.
Okay. Well, you're named after a murderer.
We're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting story. Again, Rena Lentz Thomas is the one that originally wrote about it. It ran in the paper. And then, I kind of took it from there and then just got a little deeper in the research and found a bunch of stuff online and was shocked. And I want to add, I tried so hard to find photos. I tried to find a picture of Charles Waller or Zach Waller or any of Zach Waller's kids or any of the Newlands or any information about the Newlands. There are no photos out there, none. There were some photos of some of the gravestones. They were very nondescript. I didn't even bother emailing them in to share. Pictures, no.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So anyway, it was a good story.
That is a good story.
Yeah. So that's kind of the end of it. I don't know. Do you have something that you want to pull out, or do you want me to kind of talk about this Pony Express story I have?
I want to hear the Pony Express story.
Okay. So
I want to hear about this. You got about 7 minutes.
Okay. So and I just want to preface this by saying I started researching the Pony Express around here, and then I kind of want to talk about it more in depth later. But I just have this little story here about this man named Julius Mortimer Miller, which I like that name, Mortimer, but I have a hard time saying it. But it was his middle name, so he probably went by Julius. This is from the newspaper. It ran in 1949, and Julius Mortimer Miller was the last of the Pony Express riders, and he turned 100 years old in 1949. He was still healthy. He sported iron gray, shoulder-length frontiersman hairdo. He could still take a whip and cut a cigarette in two while it was in a man's mouth 30 feet away.
Oh, my gosh.
30 feet away.
That's
how do you develop that skill without
who
cutting
lets you
somebody's...
practice on you?
Not me.
Not me.
But anyway, he could do that, and even at 100 years old. For 92 years, Miller had been known simply as the Broncho Charlie. He got that name when I wonder if that's a typo. I wonder if it should be Bronco Charlie.
I would say Bronco.
He got that name when he began riding wild horses at the age of 8.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
it's a different time back then, but nowadays, like I had an 8-year-old son a few years ago, and there would be no way in HE double hockey sticks I would allow him on a wild horse.
No.
Okay, but on this day in 1949, the Community Service Society was honoring him, chairman of but they made him the chairman of the Society's Children Fund for 1950, whatever that meant. Bronco Charlie responded by indulging in a little reminiscence, and this is what he had to say about the Pony Express. I rode the Pony Express in 1861 for 5 months from Sacramento, California to Carson City, Nevada, he said. I was 11 and a half years old, the youngest boy they ever put on. I made the run in a day, morning to dark, 172 miles. Made 18 changes of horses between stations. Took me 2 minutes to change horses. Every other 24 hours I took off. Bronco Charlie has been an Indian fighter, a Texas Ranger for 4 years, a ranch hand, and a performer in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. He was wounded twice by the Indians on the Pony Express, arrowed in the wrist, took an arrow in the wrist and over the eye. He was gassed twice and wounded twice with shrapnel while serving in the Canadian Cavalry in the First World War. He was also wounded twice in barroom fights, but Charlie says he personally didn't drink after some early sad experiences. He quit drinking, he said, and he rode wild horses. So,
my goodness.
Yes. So this guy, this ran in a local paper. Was he from Clay County? I'm confused about that. I got this article from the Clay County Genealogical Society.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he was from Clay County, but this, I think, maybe did run in the Clay County paper. But I'm not sure that he was from here. But I pulled it because I've been researching the Pony Express a little bit, and
how
would
interesting
like to,
is that, though?
But okay, so yeah, it just gave me so much food for thought because, first of all, this mother, I don't know her, and it does sound like I'm judging her because I kind of am a little bit, but it was a different time.
Yeah.
So her 8-year-old son, she allowed to start learning to ride wild horses.
Yeah.
Then by 11 and a half, she just sends him out as a Pony Express rider. I mean, 11 years old, and the things that he did, he would make an entire run 172 miles in one day from Sacramento, California to Carson City, Nevada.
On a horse.
In the,
the
wild time, the rough frontier. And what are you encountering in that desert? Snakes.
Oh my gosh.
Snakes, cats. I don't know what everything is out there. He made 18 changes of horses between stations. He would take 2 minutes to change horses. So in that 2 minutes,
he's on a different horse every time
because the horses would get tired because he was running. Running them. So 2 minutes. That was time to pee, grab they didn't have bottled water, get a new canteen, and then did he eat? How did he ate while they was running? What are the logistics of this?
How do you eat your McDonald's on a horse?
Yeah, what did they pack him? A little sandwich?
A little sandwich? Who knows?
He was probably hungry, and he was probably skinny. He was probably dehydrated.
Yeah. Gosh. And he's 11.
Yeah. Every other 24 hours I took off. So he worked every other day. So then that gave him a day to recover. which he probably did nothing but sleep.
I can't even fathom it.
And he's a little boy, and he's sad. I think he's sad. He would be sad. I can't.
He didn't know any different.
I guess not. He was
I'm
probably
going to pull a
making good
Jim
money.
Rewind. He didn't know any different. That's
All
what
right.
he did.
I'm going to stick with that because otherwise it makes me a little sad.
Yeah. Oh,
But-
what kids went through.
Yes.
We have no idea.
My kids have no idea how good they have it.
Oh, kids today.
I have a
these
12-year-old
kids.
son right now. I'm going to give him this story when I get home and be like, count your blessings, buddy, because you could be out there on a horse.
Right.
Okay.
Taking people's mail to him.
That's right.
With no bottled water, no McDonald's.
That's right. All right, let's end this show with something happy because it was kind of a little bit of a downer of a show.
Okay.
What do you got?
Jack Handy.
Okay.
I wish there was a disease where you're afraid of clouds, because I think I could cure it. First, you sit the patient down and have a long personal talk. After that, I'm not sure, but maybe you could throw some water in his face or something.
All righty then.
Okay, Jack
Yeah, just
Handy.
have a long talk with them. That always helps people
You
get
know,
over
if
their
there's
fears.
a disease where you're afraid of clouds, sit them down, throw water in their face.
Yeah, there.
Then they'll be cured.
That ought to fix it. Why wouldn't it, right?
Deep Thoughts.
Deep Thoughts
by
by Jack
Jack Handy.
Anyway, okay.
That is, oh my God. How
Oh,
funny.
yeah. So we like to end on a crazy kind of funny note, and Jack Handy is definitely that.
He
so,
is that.
Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, you can find us on Catch TV, Channel 100, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and again at 3 p.m., or you can find all of our episodes on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is By the Way with Beth and Stacey, or just simply type in Beth and Stacey on YouTube, and our channel will come up. You can also like and follow us on Facebook, and reach out to us at By the Way with Beth and Stacey at gmail.com if you have questions, comments, or show ideas. We would love to hear that. So
That's right.
Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us.
God bless you and have a great day.